Hello there, people. I am back with another video, and I'm going to try and make them a little bit more frequent. No promises, but I'll make videos where I see fit, and all I can do is say I'm going to try and make more videos, and hopefully people watch them. Now, obviously, in the current climate, everybody knows the country is on a knife edge with immigration, and there's many different aspects and angles and views and opinions. But my opinion is that open borders is a danger to any country. I believe that every country should have strict borders, and in that way, each country, it's easier to contain the problems in each countries, and each country can deal with their own problems. Currently, in my opinion, the way the system is, say for example in Britain, is realistically when you've got open borders, you know, you're taking on every other country's problem as well. And it's not always good, I can assure you that. So when you've got open borders, you are literally open to the elements of anything humanely possible. So all levels of evil, serial killers, whatever. Militant men who are here for whatever reason, who knows? And also, there is possibly some good, decent people. But the bottom line is the current system has no security checks. There is none. And you can listen, if people want to still argue and say there is, that's fine, but I know there isn't, right? That's my opinion and it'll not change. So I could go on and on about my opinion, but that is kind of irrelevant to the fact of, you know, it comes when the government's covering things up, which we all know they are, whether it be the police, the establishment, the courts, whatever, that's when you know you've got a problem. So I'm going to start the video on this, is where really this just shows you how much the government is hiding from us. It's just how much more are they hiding that we don't know. Because apparently, well, not apparently, the reality is they've been hiding 12 new migrant centres from the public. Nobody knows about it. And then the bottom line is as well, who voted for this? Did you vote for open borders? I think when it comes to something as crucial as borders, right, I think if they're going to open them up, it should definitely go to a vote, right? The people who live in this country should at least get to vote on it. You have to agree with that. Maybe you don't, but I would say that would be a way to say, right, well, look, there is open borders, but everybody voted for it, or the borders are closed and most people voted for them to stay closed. Then that way, that takes away a lot of the sort of the hatred and the fighting between the civilians to a degree. To a degree, you know. It's not going to completely take it away. I might be rambling on a bit, but, I can do that. But here, let's get to the point. The point is that the British government has been hiding the fact that they're setting up camps everywhere for immigrants. So let's just listen to this video here. Well, it's basically, well, I could read that to you, but you can read it yourself, and then here's a video here.
Sorry, that completes the urgent question. Point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My understanding is that the Home Office are due tonight to announce 12 new asylum seeker centres across the country, with no statement to the House, with no notification for those of us who are here, and I know that this is a very, very important issue to our constituents. I seek your guidance on how we might encourage the government to release this sort of information here first, so that we can scrutinise it on behalf of the people that we represent here in this place.
Can I say, if that is the case, it is.
And so there, the actual MPs are saying we didn't even get told about it. So if we're at a level where the MPs are not getting told about anything, then I call it the shadow government, the corrupt government. They are literally tyrants. No, I'm not saying the MPs are any better, but when you can see in Parliament that the MPs are not even being told, or that's what they're claiming, and then the House Speaker goes on to say this, there's a problem.
Totally unacceptable once again. This government doesn't seem to understand that MPs of all sides should hear any news first, as it is their constituents that are affected. And if it's true it was going to a WMS on Monday, That is also doubly unacceptable. What I would say to the Minister is, there's going to release this information. We have between now and the end, and I am more than willing to extend that he can come to this House to inform this House on whose constituencies are going to be affected. It is unfair, it is unacceptable. When will they get the message? There is going to be a change of government. Well, I hope they learn in the next people who take over. I don't want to continue a debate, but I'll hear it.
Mr. Speaker, merely to confirm that I have been made aware of the same information as my honourable friend has just put forward to you.
This isn't good enough, and I'm presuming you're the same, that you've heard the message.
It's a variant, Mr. Speaker, but can I thank you for speaking up on behalf of all members from across the House. Deputy Prime Minister's questions last week, I raised the point that an asylum centre had been put into my constituency with just hours' notice, and yet the County Council or Shropshire Council...
So did you hear that? They're literally dumping immigrants in areas with little to no notice and say, this is your responsibility now, deal with it. How is that a democratic system? How is that a democratic system? And then why have we never had a vote on this? Because I'm pretty sure the government knows that nobody's going to want open borders. If you think open borders are okay, and if you think open borders are acceptable, you're insane. Open borders would be great if there was zero evil in the world. Absolutely brilliant. We could all just live in this big utopia, this big euphoric state of bliss where everybody's just so loving and everybody gets on, there's no evil, there's no crime. Yeah, open borders would be great, but that's not reality. I think we all know the reality, people. Yeah? You need strict borders or your country gets destroyed. The people, everything.
So the unitary authority had been given at least 5 days' notice and even weeks.
Well, at least you won't be asking a question business now you've asked it. Because what we're doing is entering into business questions where I'm sure that others will want. But I want to put on record, it's not acceptable. We need to make sure that MPs of all sides hear it first, because I don't know whose constituency are affected. Do it correctly. Learn. Speak to the Leader of the House. I'm sure he can make arrangements within the business. Right.
So that shows you that the reality is they are now just dumping immigrants everywhere. There's that many of them that they're having to build places to keep them, and they're just going up to different areas and saying that you're taking them, you're taking them, and you're taking them. This is not sustainable, people, right? Britain is a small country, a very, very small country. And I think, you know, I'm not 100% sure. In fact, we could just check it up right now. How much bigger is, let's just say, Africa than the UK? So, Africa is approximately 125 times bigger than the UK. So, if that's just one country where we're getting people, and we all know that these countries, India, Africa, Pakistan, Afghanistan, have got way bigger populations than us by a long shot, right? The most of these countries that they're coming from. How is it sustainable? Am I missing something? How can we just take on endless, and there's no end to it? You know, how long is the people saying, stop this, close the borders, stop the boats? It's not stopping. Britain is a tiny little island, people. A tiny little island. It's insane. And then let me just show you, just to tell you, this is a great YouTube channel called Cool Babe Channel Watcher. So what she does is she watches the channel down at Dover, right? And she documents as often as she can how many come in and how often, right? So let's just take a look at yesterday, right? So 221 on 3 dinghies. Yesterday. 186 migrants on 3 dinghies on June the 23rd. 310 on the 21st. 94 on the 20th. 406. This is people. This is men. The vast majority are men. You might see a few women and kids, but 90% to 95% of this is just men. So how can men be refugees? That is not what a refugee is. A refugee, right, is when men are at war and the women and the children have to flee that war. And a lot of these countries that they're coming from aren't even at a war, aren't even at war. And then you can go on even further and say they come through so many different safe countries. Why? There's no need to come to Britain. But let's just keep looking. 406 on the 19th, 392 on the 18th. No migrants. Oh, one day there was no migrants. 710 on 11 dinghies on the 15th. How is this sustainable, people? Now, just to keep things simple, right? Just to keep things simple. Just take your average hotel. Maybe you've got an asylum hotel where you are. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that it can hold between 80 and 120 people on average. Maybe more, maybe less. You any idea how many hotels or how much accommodation this is going to take? How much resources, how much money, how much strain this is going to be on this country if this just continually happens? This isn't about race. This isn't about being racist. This is about common sense, right? Now, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter what country they're coming from particularly, it's the danger of being open to every country, right? And then you could also obviously say that there's definitely countries worse than others, but the bottom line is there could be aliens coming in, blue starfish that fly with guns, or there could be yellow, green, purple, orange, who cares? If you've got a system that has no security, you're in danger. It's like having the option, right? I'll end it on this, and this is a simple term, but it's just common sense. Do you lock your door at night, or do you leave it open? Some people will say, oh, I'll leave it open, that's great, I'm glad you feel that safe, you must stay in a very, very safe neighbourhood. But the point is, people, we have locks and security. Security is a word and an actual term for a reason. It is needed. Unfortunately, humans have evil in them. And the bottom line is, I'm not going to rabbit on, I will end on this, is that basically every country has problems. They all need to deal with their own. Right now, Britain and other countries like Germany, Sweden, and a lot of the countries in Europe are having to take in and getting forced to take in all the rest of the world's problems. It's insanity. And what ends up happening is, in my opinion, the worst of the worst end up getting filtered through into Britain because they've maybe fled their original country, let's say Eritrea, Sudan, Afghanistan, Africa, wherever. They've maybe fled that country for all kinds of heinous crimes. You're dealing with, at times, the most psychopathic killers going. And in my biggest concern is that they're hardened to death. They're probably from war-torn countries where they're not necessarily, do you know what I'm saying? Like they're military trained, they could be torturing people, and the bottom line is we are in the danger zone with open borders, people fleeing their country for all kind of heinous crimes, and then it's not unusual to hear of them then going to other countries and committing more crimes, and then leaving that country, and then coming to Britain, and then going to Ireland, and they just move about and cause chaos everywhere. Now, you don't have to agree with me, but I'm coming for this as for a common sense standpoint. You need security. You can't have open borders. It's delusional. So I'm not going to make the video too long. I hope you get my point. And until the next time, take it easy.